Well, I'm with Lisa Kuzela at her flood property, and she is trying desperately to get it mowed up before somebody comes over and mows it for her and charges her. Okay, and what was the company's name?
Burns Brothers. The city, Mark Duffy and then Kurt Hansen, they refused to give me a one-day extension, because I can't get the mower over here until my friend gets off work at 6 and we can load it up.
I can't believe they'd actually get out and measure your grass.
I said, look, I'm going to have it mowed tonight after he gets off work. You can help me load it up. I can't load it myself. Didn't get the notice. And, nobody told the flood victims to change their mailing address at the assessor's office. Nobody told us to do that.
Well, you would think that the assessor's office would get the information from the post office.
Yeah, you'd think, but they don't. But even more so, you would think that the people in charge of mowing in the Public Works Department and the people in charge of sidewalks in the Public Works Department would not have to rely on the assessor's page for our mailing addresses, when the Public Works Department has a complete database of the flood victims' mailing addresses, because they're sending stuff out to our replacement homes about the buyout process and everything, the letter from the mayor.
But they aren't sending it out for the grass
mowing or the sidewalk. They're not letting those people in charge of mowing and sidewalk in the Public Works Department have the same access that the Public Works Department has for the mailing addresses. All they have to do, if there's other confidential information they don't want them to have, all they have to do is cut and paste the name of the property owner, the flood address, and the mailing address into a spreadsheet and let them have it, so that they can mail these people. All these flood victims are getting, liens placed on their properties because all these notices are being returned, like mine was. I mean, I'm a pretty smart person, but I didn't even know that you have to go to the assessor's office to change this property to the new mailing address.
I didn't know that either.
No. And so when I did a sample of it, of demolished homes, I started with the demolished homes properties because that they're living somewhere else. Mm-hmm. So I did a sample of 70 or 75 homes and then checked their mailing addresses at the assessor site, and 75% of them still have their flood address. Their home's been totally demolished. Like I said, I started with that. They still have their mailing address at their flooded property, where there's not
even a
building.
They were putting liens on those people for mowing their lawn.
Because the notices were being returned because, for some reason, Dave Elgin, the head of the Public Works Department, won't give the mailing addresses to the people in charge of mowing and sidewalks. So these things are getting done at the flood victims' homes, properties, without the flood victims even knowing until they go into the buyout and have all these liens deducted. Now, I think the city should release all the liens on the flooded properties that were put there by the city after the flood. And I think they need to go through the buyouts and see who had liens deducted from the city after the buyout, and they should pay them back.
I agree with that.
Because they never told us that we had to go to the assessor's office and change our mailing address. You'd have thought with, getting notices from the public, getting the mayor's buyout progress letter and all that from the Public Works Department, our tax bills for the flooded address from the Public Works Department, which I know is county, but you would think, since they have all these mailing addresses, that they would be using that information for the people in charge of mowing and sidewalks that are in the Public Works Department. It makes no sense at all. So I finally, my mower's been broke for weeks. It's taken me a few weeks to get a mower to borrow, and it's over at my replacement home, and that's what I was going to do today, is mow that lawn. And then my friend gets off work at 6 o'clock. He's leaving town tomorrow, so I needed help loading that up to bring it over here. I told Mark Duffy, this isn't the Gestapo. And then he said, you can talk to my manager, and then Kurt Hansen came out. So there's a lot of problems in this city, but I mean this, yeah, it needs mowing, but this isn't all that bad. The worst is on the city's property.
True.
Which I do need to take care of.
Very interesting.
Is that coming out of there?
I don't know, but it's growing into it. Just wanted to show people that we have things growing out of the sewer. Trees. And this is a city-owned property, 725 G Avenue Northwest. They have a tree growing out of their sewer, and they delivered a notice to Lisa for her lawn.